Hello guys, it's Kevin. Once again, um, my mental health is fucking great. I mean, it's like, oh my fucking god, really? um, let's just say a few days ago, like school ended. Not fully though, because tomorrow I have to go take the TSI, and I'm gonna see some of the people who I get along with, so that's good. And then the day after that, Wednesday, we're gonna be practicing for the graduation. Um, yeah. I just wanted to talk about my mental health recently. First, I want to talk about like back then, like back then. Um, I feel like in order to talk about this, I have to go back to 2020 when the quarantine happened. Well, technically 2019. That's why it's called COVID-19. But the whole thing hit hard in 2020. Online school meant that I was isolated and in a toxic household. And before that, I basically switched schools, and I wasn't feeling great because people who I talked with who weren't my friends, now that I think about it, they weren't there anymore, and I felt like shit, you know. I also began going through some changes during that period because I used to hang out with the cool kids, I guess, and then I went to I guess, technically, I wouldn't call them losers though, they were nice, but the less popular kids, I guess. And I felt happier with them than with the popular kids because, let's just say, I want to mention this. They took a picture of everyone who they hang around with, and I wasn't included. I was left out. No one even thought about inviting me to take the picture. I have that picture, and I'm just like, wow, this meant so much to me back then. I felt awful because I was left out, and they didn't really see me as that big of a that didn't really matter, and that hurt a lot. And then you have me going to a different school, which means not even the people who I got along with were there anymore. There was actually a kid who used to go with me to school, and that was kind of like a constant reminder of, hey, the past is still here, you know. So yeah, and I made a friend. He was super nice. He was like a great friend, and I wish I was a better friend by defending him when people would make fun of him. But I was just tired, and I didn't know how to react and act and anything. I realized I never really had a true friend. Each time I made a friend, they will leave the next year, and there's no exceptions. Because that same guy who I was friends with like that year, the guy who was really nice, he left the next year, and the quarantine happened, and I never got to say goodbye to him. And basically, after that, we were just in the quarantine, and we were just online, which meant that the abusive household I had and toxic was getting to me even more now because I had no one. There was nothing. And eventually I kind of turned to art, and art has ever since been helping me to release feelings. And I basically met this person, this girl. We were just friends, at least for my part. We were just friends, and we would talk every day. We would stay up late talking, chatting, texting. She was the first girl who I was friends with, and that was nice because for once someone would listen to how I felt. the thing is that I never really knew how things truly were, and yeah, let's just say at some point we went back to like in-person school, and she wouldn't really talk to me much. She would like not even look at me and stuff, but we would talk. I could tell she wasn't avoiding me, she was just shy, and so was I. And we kind of tried to talk, but we couldn't do much. And eventually she got a boyfriend, and she just stopped talking to me. Her boyfriend got jealous, and she began to avoid making eye contact, just stopped talking to me completely. She stopped texting to me and stuff. And yeah, there's more to this once I go into depth into this, because during this time I became at the risk of taking my own life. I never told her. This is like my first time telling someone, actually. At least someone who's willing to listen to me, I guess. And never told her. But just having her be there for me was so important to me. And they left. They didn't. It was worse though, because she didn't leave schools. It wasn't out of her It wasn't out of her control. It was her decision. You could maybe try making the argument of, oh, maybe she just, you didn't try enough. But like, I tried, and I'm pretty sure she actually liked me, as in more than just friends, because she would do things that people don't normally do, like boy and girl friendships, I guess. Now that I have girls who are friends with me, I can see how different the relationship was, because she would like make some clay figures for me. She made me a bracelet that we will both wear, and she gave me a note just talking about how much she enjoyed us talking like late at night and stuff. I just took this as a friendship thing, because I was kind of dumb and I was just really not social, and depressed. And at some point she asked me to have like a matching profile picture with her, and so we did. In case any of you know the Owl House, Lumity, Amity, and Luz, I basically had Luz and she had Amity as her profile picture from the same image, matching profile pictures, and it was nice. I don't even remember when we stopped, but I'm pretty sure it was her who stopped having the profile picture because she had a boyfriend. And yeah, something I noticed though was that some time ago I saw, and she was doing the same thing with her boyfriend. She was basically sharing the same profile picture, and I'm just like, oh. I'm pretty sure that's like a big sign of, yeah, she liked you. She was trying to give you signs, and you never noticed. So I kind of feel like shit about that, because she was there for me, but I wasn't there for her. The thing is that it's not really my fault. I was like emotionally unavailable. Like, my feelings were really numb, and I kept on numbing myself because so many things happened, and I eventually numb myself to that. The last thing I ever said to her was happy birthday. We never exchanged words, conversations, nothing. And I'm pretty sure she told people, because let's just say people who she hangs around with kind of just don't look at me. They just kind of avoid me, don't talk to me at all. It's just like, nice. One person who kind of hanged around her for a bit, like a guy, he kind of just like looked at me sometimes like in a judging way, and eventually he became a bit nicer to me, less less serious and stuff. I just wanted to say that because that's kind of nice. But yeah, I'm just like, huh, that sucks. The thing is that I just needed a friend back then. I wasn't looking for like someone who wanted something, and that sucks. The thing that sucks the most though is that I basically noticed that she basically unfollowed me and had me stop following her in Instagram, like one of her accounts, the one that she uses now. And I'm just like, oh, that's why you stopped making eye contact with me, because you didn't want me to confront you about it. And that's just like a big ouch. I don't really feel hurt because I already got over it, but like, she was my only friend, my best friend for 2 years straight. And I talked to her how lonely I was, how each time I made a friend it will lead me, and she did something worse, which was replace me and abandon me willingly. And I feel like that's one of the worst betrayals ever. There's another one, like there was a guy who I was friends with, and he basically I told him how I like this girl, and he asked the same girl out the same day afterwards. And that was kind of funny, but that sucks. Eventually I made friends. Not really actually, but I thought I made friends, and I made a few friends actually. Some of those people I wouldn't call them friends though. And yeah, basically I just began to heal after I left the Fire and Funkin' community, because there were many problems there. Let's just say that. I don't really feel like talking about it because it doesn't really matter, But basically after just leaving the community, I began making some friends, some people who I talked to who I wouldn't really call them friends because they would ignore me many times. And I basically give me a second, let my brain work for a second. Well, I made some friends, and that was nice, Eventually, my feelings began healing, and the first thing my fucking feelings began feeling was, like, attraction, I guess. Well, I don't want to call it love, but I basically had a huge crush on this girl, and I still do. This different girl, by the way, not the one who I was talking about. And basically, I mean, the thing is that I just didn't know how to ask her out or anything, and I was thinking so much about it. But eventually, I kind of just got over the fear of rejection, and also like how to ask her out, because it was never gonna be perfect. But then prom came, and she got asked out to prom by this guy who was her friend, and I'm just like, oh, I'm guessing they're a couple now. And then I just kind of tried to forget about her, but then at some point a teacher was telling her something, but she didn't understand. So I basically explained it to her, and as soon as I began talking, she basically turned to me, made eye contact, and smiled even wider afterwards. And I'm just like, oh no, shit, no, my feelings, they feel like it felt like I was like, oh, maybe she does like me, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. And my feelings basically went back to the way they used to be, but stronger, because I felt like maybe she does like me, and I basically began doubting her dating the guy. I mean, it's like maybe they just went out as friends. And I began to give myself illusions, telling myself, hey, just ask her out, ask her if she has a boyfriend, then ask her out. And that happened for a long time in my brain. I was thinking about her like nonstop. Like, I just thought about her so much. And she was giving me signs, I think. Maybe. She kept on looking at me, and we kept on making eye contact. She kept on glancing at me when I wasn't looking. I would glance at her, and at some point we were playing volleyball, and she basically began saying my name, like, "Come on, Kevin," and it's like, I'm just like, no, fuck. Because she was only saying my name. She didn't say something like, "Oh, hey Carlos, get the ball." She's like, "Come on, Kevin, get the ball," or like, "Hit it, Kevin." I mean, it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like, why are you giving me attention? And at some point, I'm just like, you know what? Let's try texting her. I sent her a message talking about something irrelevant, and she just didn't answer it. She saw it, but she just left it on red. And I'm just like, oh, okay, then I guess I was wrong. And I just, told myself, yeah, you're just dumb. But then, she kept on doing the same thing, even more. And, basically, at some point we went to the end of the year field trip, and she was looking at me so many times. She will make eye contact with me whenever she wasn't looking at her friend. Well, I'm just gonna say right now, she was dating the guy. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. Well, they were dating or something. The thing is that they never showed any sign of actually being like a couple. Like, they were always together, but they would never hold hands, no cuddling, no kissing, no hugging, nothing, no affection. It was just they're together making jokes, that's it. And I'm just like, maybe they're just friends, I'm such a dumbass. And she would just look at me, and at some point she sat like next to me in a way, kinda. I'm just like, why? And whenever we were at Six Flags, she passed by me twice, and she will say, "Hi, Kevin." I mean, it's like, no, don't give me attention, I wasn't sure if they were dating back then, but then I asked a girl, like on the last day of school, if they were dating, and she's like, yeah, they are. I mean, it's like, oh, ouch, that hurt. And they were basically dating for a long time now, so yeah. I'm just like, yeah, I never stood a chance, did I? So yeah, I just kind of felt like, why are you giving me attention? Why are you don't interact with me? You're just giving me false hope. Someone at some point told me maybe she's just trying to be friends. But she ignored my messages, so, you don't really do it if you want to be friends with someone, And then someone is like, who knows, maybe things with the guy aren't working out. So she's just trying to have you, like, be interested in her. That way she can, like, begin something with you afterwards. And I'm just like, I mean, maybe, but, like, I don't know. Just don't give me false hope, And yeah, that's what happened. I still think about her, kinda, but, like, I began to stop thinking about her as much, and I'm glad. But I wish things would have worked out. And yeah, that's pretty much where my mental health is at right now. I was able to cry willingly without being hit, because I said goodbye to a friend who I really cared for. just a few days ago. I swear I was saying goodbye and my voice just, became weak and I felt like I was tearing up. And he asked me what? I'm just like, no, fuck. No, I just want to say goodbye once and just leave. But I had to stay there a bit longer to say it once again. Goodbye. So that's so sad. Um, and yeah, I was able to cry the day before because I saw him sleeping, and I'm just like, I'm gonna miss him. He actually waited for me when we were together. Like, we were just hanging out, and then he would like be like, "Oh, give me a second, I'm gonna do this." He did it, and then he came back. He was talking with some friends, and he's like, "All right, Kevin, let's go to this place where we're gonna go before I talk to these kids." And I'm just like, huh. He's actually thinking about me and what I was, he actually cares what we were gonna do and stuff, and that meant so much to me because he will listen to me. He will share his feelings when I asked him about it, like, hey, how is this girl who you like? Oh, things aren't working out. Oh, I see. I'm gonna really miss him. I think I'll see him tomorrow though. But who knows? And I just kind of realized I can cry again. Well, for the first time I can cry willingly because I'm in touch with my emotions, I began caring for myself more. And I'm trying to do different things to just stop. It's because I've been like using art to cope with things way too much, and I need to give art a rest, I don't want to exhaust my love for art, But yeah, I feel good. I was able to cry 3 times in a single day, and it really helps me release my pain. I still had to graduate, and I still had to go to school on Wednesday, so I'm gonna see the girl who I like. That's gonna be a bit of an ouchie, but it's fine. Who knows, maybe she'll look at me and say something. Who knows, though. Yeah. Something I realized when I was in the field trip, by the way, was that I want to live. I don't want to end my life anymore. Life is beautiful, and for once, I want to keep it like that. For once in my life, I want to live, love, and make friends. I've changed so much, but it has been for the better, and I hold memories with a lot of care now. I hold my life with a lot of care. I'm caring for myself, and that's amazing. I went from being a depressed, lonely guy to being a a lonely, happy, passionate little guy. And I'm happy. That's it. That's pretty much it, I guess. I hope if you're going through something right now, just hearing someone else talk about something similar helps you to deal with your problems, or at least feel hopeful, because things might get better. They have for me. Not because they have actually gotten better, but because I just feel better now and I actually care for myself. So yeah.